Welcome back to the AD 1926 video series. This is part 46, the Jericho Gap part 2. Last time we left off here in the ghost town of Jericho, Texas. Before we continue on though, I'm going to camp here tonight thanks to the owners of this ghost town, Blair and Blanca Schaefer. Here's the old auto court at sunset and another photo later that evening. Just a beautiful sunset tonight here in the ghost town of Jericho, Texas. And good thing I brought my own food because I don't think the Jericho lunchroom is still open. And good thing my car's doing all right because I don't think this garage is open either. Next morning, sunrise through the auto court. And here's the picture of that early sun on the auto court. And if you listen carefully, ignoring the wind, you'll hear the tin roof hitting itself and squeaking. And here's looking eastbound down original Route 66 with a sunrise. All right, let's get back on the road. Say goodbye to our lovely tourist court. This footage is actually eastbound, but it's played in reverse as if we're looking out the back window. I don't seem to have westbound footage of this part of the Jericho Gap. On our right, so this would be the south side of Route 66, you're going to see a pile of rubble. That's the old Jericho School right there. And like the Alice Cooper song, school's out forever. And just over 3 miles to the west of here, we'll turn around, look down the same road, County Road B, and look at that mud. You could see why the Jericho Gap was so infamous. This mud on my tire here was only about 100 feet of driving on this. And looking down that same original 66, and we see this old home that probably existed during that time. I've plotted several turns based on several sources, including JimRoss66.com, a very reliable source, and you see these turns there. And so that could be Route 66, County Road B. And if so, we'll head down County Road B and turn right on County Road 4. This is looking north from that intersection. On the northeast corner was the Boydston School. And if you're free Christmas Eve, 1926, there's going to be a Christmas tree and a program at the schoolhouse. Everybody welcome. The school didn't last too long into the Route 66 era as they petitioned to merge it with the Groom School at the end of the school year in spring of 1928. It must have passed because the very next year it was up for sale. And I assume the Groom Community Club bought it because they built a gymnasium and clubhouse here. So right on Route 66, assuming this really is Route 66. So let's continue westbound or north up possible Route 66. In this intersection there, this would be looking north right before that. Do we turn left on A1 like several sources, including Jim Ross 66, by the way, or do we continue straight on County Road 4, which some other sources say 66 went? Some sources show that 66 came in from the east from Boydston about here, and then turned north on 4. We'll come back to that later. But for the sources that say it turned on A1, they show it turns on County Road 3. So here's looking north up from there. And then they have it turning left on County Road A. Some sources have it go well down A, some have it turn right away and head north. If that's what it did, it crossed the interstate about here and continues along what is now Hudson Road. But some other sources, such as Jim Ross 66, shows that the road kept going down County Road A and didn't turn north until County Road 2, and then turns left on Hudson. Here's looking west down County Road A again. Let's head down this path. We'll go west on A, turn north on County Road 2, cross the interstate, continue along on the other side, which is now known as Airport Road. As I shared earlier, some sources say that 66 came in from the east along Hudson, but then other sources say it's heading north here and then turns left on Hudson at this intersection. Thus, several sources agree that 66 came into Groom along this road here, Hudson. Regardless which, or if any, are correct, the views are relatively the same. So whichever path you choose to take, you're still going to get that feel of early 66 from the 1920s. Several sources say 66 turned north a few miles back, here at County Road 5. This includes Route66map.com, theroute66.com. Stefan's Route 66 page shows this path as well. So rather than heading into Groom right away, let's go north up County Road 5. This may have been Route 66 in the early years. I think it's important to note that all of the paths we've covered earlier bypass Boydston. Now, it's not like Boydston was a big town or anything, far from it, but I'm not 100% convinced that 66 would have bypassed Boydston. It's a ghost town these days. Population around that time was only about 10. But happenings in Boydston did get news coverage in the Groom News, and it was considered its own community. Notice that JimRoss66.com shows both going west and going north up to Boydston. Notice the angle in which it goes to Groom. Look at this 1924 map. It has a same angle that approaches Groom. Now, he mentions that the earlier route, 1923, went that way. So perhaps from 1924 for about a decade, it went north to Boydston and then followed the railroad tracks. If that's the case, then the view would have been pretty similar to this. However, we're on the post-1934 route on the other side of the railroad tracks. That original 66 may have run parallel to what we're doing right now, about 200 feet to the south. And then up ahead it would have crossed the railroad tracks and joined the path we're taking now. It seems Stefan's page and other sources got their path from this 1932 map, which shows 66 turning left before Boydston and then turning north and then left again. This map shows it turning left and then right on County Road 4/Norp and then left, which becomes Hudson. This one does the same, but it has it turning left a little bit further north. Here's Stefan's page. It turns right before Boydston, and then up for another look at Jim Ross's page. This is the only one that has it turn left at the railroad tracks. Let's start with the ones that head up 4 and then off onto Hudson. So we're going to go across this field you can't drive and then turn north on 4. And this video picks up right there. As you can see, we're cut off by I-40, but we'll pick it up on the other side on Norp Road. Notice the topography. It's getting quite hilly, and that started to make me suspicious. Regardless, some sources say 66 turned left about here, and if you look to the west and imagine 66 heading this way, it makes sense with all the power lines. That's a good indication. But looking the opposite way, look how hilly it is. It just seems unlikely to me. Well, continuing west here, we do have a road that's easy to travel. This is Hudson Road. You may recognize the scenery from earlier in the video. This is Airport Road. This is where we came in from the south from that 1923 path. And somewhere along this road we would have found the 66 station. Maybe I'll need to fill up. So we'll take Hudson Road into Groom. This was the original path in 1923, and perhaps this was the original 66 in 1926 into Groom. We don't know. None of this evidence is conclusive. Perhaps someday we will know. Maybe that road that followed the railroad that Jim Ross labeled, maybe it was not in a good condition at the time, and in 1932 it did take this other way. Maybe both maps are correct. We really don't know. Hope you enjoyed the video. Good night from Groom. If you'd like some more videos, subscribe, become a patron at patreon.com/Route66Suite.